Hi there, so we're back, and this time I want to talk about the hands, the gesture and structures, important shapes, the proportions that are really important when you want to, for example, draw the fingers and their connections. So hand is quite a complex form to deal with. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let me tell you a bit of anatomy of hand. If you start drawing an oval shape, an ellipse like this, and then if you just separate and divide it into three parts, first you need to divide it into two equal parts like this, and then we do the same here, another half of it. So, and then this line for middle finger, which is quite important. On this section, we have carpal tunnel. On the other part, we have metacarpal section, and at the end we have fingers or phalanges, because one finger is phalanx and prula is phalanges, like this. And here I add the thumb. So that's the overall and general structure of hand. As I said, here is the carpal tunnel, then we have metacarpal, and then phalanges. So now let's take a look at the proportions of the fingers. That's quite important. So if you just take this part and then divide it into three equal sections like this, and then take 2/3 of it and put it right here, then you can see we have the second part of the finger. So each finger has three parts. The proximal part at first, the medium part or the middle part of it, and then distal part. Okay, so here I'm just talking about the proportions and this reduction of length that you see. So again, I explain it to you. If you take this part and divide it to three equal parts like this, and then take 2/3 of it into the lower part, and if you do the same here, you can see that now we have also the distal part right here. Okay, so that's the general proportion that you need to know before drawing hand. Now let's talk a bit about the structure of hand in a 3/4 view, because that's the view in which we can see better the forms and structure of any object. So as I said before, we have carpal tunnel first, metacarpal, and then phalanges at the end. So when you are drawing the arm and hands, first here we have the lower arm, the ridge muscle, this cube here, and right after that you should just leave a space for this part, which is carpal tunnel, We call it tunnel because it has a shape like this. And just inside that, we have tendons, bones, and other things that come through and then create these arch for the wrist, if you take a look at it. Okay, and then first we start with the middle finger. As you see, I always put first gestures using these curves. Here's the thumb, and after that I add structure and volumes to it using cylinders in different directions. For example, for proximal part of the finger, I can use a cylinder like this, which is longer, and gradually it gets smaller and shorter like this. So you can see when you change the direction using cylinders, you can create and draw fingers easily. So first let me start with middle finger. It's higher a bit than other fingers. It's longer also. And then we have these overlaps. Here the intermediate part of the finger and then the distal part of it. Here's the nail. You can see that I'm trying to turning around this form, the form of the nail, because nails are not flat like this when you're drawing them. You need to always put first this movement, this gesture for them, and then add other parts of it to show the roundness of the finger. Now let's continue. Other fingers, as I told you, the knuckle here is lower for the index finger. And then also it's shorter. But you see that gesture really helps me to keep up with the flow of the hand and arm. So it's true that I'm drawing parts, but at the same time I'm also thinking about creating a united whole, a harmonious design and shape for all parts of the body. That's our main goal when we want to draw anything. Every part should be connected to each other. Now let's work on other fingers. I'm just drawing this hand from imagination. So I'm changing this direction like this just to show you what happens when we have various and different movements in fingers, because they are quite flexible. And as I talked about in the fifth session about function and form that are quite related to each other, let's proceed drawing other fingers and other details. For example, when I need to just turn the distal part of the pinky finger, I'm using just these overlaps, as you can see, these lines that are getting and going on top of each other. And then by changing the quality of line, you see the line is getting thicker and thicker. On this part, I cannot use a hard edge to separate the distal and intermediate part. So that's why here is better to just use maybe a soft line like this. And then on the other side of it, we can use maybe a hard edge or a firm edge like this. Here, let's add the form of the knuckle. And then we have these muscles too on this part. So it will create this bump here, this bulginess. Here I'm adding wrapping lines to show you better the volume of metacarpal part and section of the hand. Let's work on the other part, on the thumb. You see I'm not really darkening this line here because the thumb is farther. So I'm trying to make a kind of focal point on this part which is closer to me, right? So think about these two when you are drawing. You shouldn't darken every line that you see here. So you can control and then show to the viewer the parts that you want. So here I was talking about this muscle and the curve that we can see because the muscle here is activated. And then be careful about these curves and lines. That's, for example, the distance here, this space that we have here is because of the palm of the hand, not the dorsal part of it. As you can see here, I'm trying to explain palm of the hand. I worked on the dorsal part of it and I explained to you carpal tunnel, metacarpal, and phalanges. So let's see here what happens and what are the important shapes and forms that you need to learn. You need to memorize these parts here, the muscles, these ellipses. So on this part here it would be the carpal tunnel again. And then on this part we have metacarpal section and then phalanges. And right here, the thumb. The important fat pad also that's here will create this movement and this shape. And then we have a kind of concave part right in the middle of the palm of the hand, which is here. So here, on the pinky finger side, we have hypothenar muscle. So this ellipse is showing the form of this muscle, and on the other part, for the thumb, we have a bigger ellipse, a larger ellipse, that's thenar muscle. And then in the middle of that, right here, on this part, you just need to draw also this line, which is the adductor muscle right here. And then we have the thumb, and this blue part is the fat pad. And the important thing to know, let me show you here, is that if you look at the dorsal part of our hand, and then if I just put the pencil here, you can see that the palm of the hand is longer than the dorsal part of the hand. Look where the knuckle is. And then you see the distance here. So that's the difference of length of the palm of the hand and dorsal part of the hand. So it's quite important to always keep in mind when you're drawing to draw this part, palm of the hand, always longer than dorsal part of the hand. So let's proceed and also add fingers. Look that fingers, except the middle finger, all of them, they are going toward the middle. So there is a kind of this movement, this curve on them. Let me use black to show it better. Here's the index finger. Middle finger, like this. The ring finger. I'm just exaggerating also to show you better this tendency of the fingers to always go toward the center. Right here we have an important landmark which is called PC form. It's in a small bone of the carpal tunnel. Right here, if I want to show you on one hand, it's here. The PC form is here, right here. And it's considered as a landmark because you can touch it really here and you can feel the hardness of this bony part right here. And then we have flexor muscles going and passing over it. And then you see the hypothenar muscle right here, and then thenar part here, and this concave part, this curve here, and then fat pads. And then we have the fingers. So I'm telling you these landmark, the hypo and the pisiform, which is here, just to tell you where to finish the muscle. Because the hypothenar muscle starts right from around the pisiform. So it's a good guide for you maybe to leave this space here for carpal tunnel. Also here to draw in a more precise way the thenar and hypothenar muscles. And then here we can see the tendons, for example the palmaris longus here, it's coming through, and then other flexor muscles like this, and ridge muscle that connects right here. And here we have the ulnar bone, so we can also see that too, another important landmark. Thank you for watching this session. I talked about the gesture and structure of the hand, so try to practice drawing it in different angles, in different directions. If you get any question, please ask me, and don't forget to subscribe and follow me, and share this video also with others. Thank you so much. Bye.